An Australia without rugby league is not Australia. Rugby league has been a fabric of our society for hundreds of years. It's people's escape, it's people's relaxation, and we need to do everything in order to continue that great tradition of rugby league.
It has been those Australians who have worked hard every day. They have their dreams, they have their aspirations. These are the quiet Australians who have won a great victory tonight.
G'day everybody, Kris Gale, myself, Stephen Ferris. Dennis Carnahan is about to enter the building with guitar.
What is he,
some
James?
sort of fanfare.
What is he, James Brown or something like that?
Yes. And Jimmy Smith. Good afternoon, Jimmy.
Good afternoon, gents. Great
Now,
to be here. Thank
we
you
are
for
the
having
fourth
me.
estate. We are the media of sorts, or so we like to think occasionally. The media is just about to become a lot bigger and more enriched with a brand new network, SEN, Sports Entertainment Network, correct?
Absolutely spot on. Well done.
Jimmy, you're the flag bearer
You've read
here.
the press release there, Stephen. Well done on that one. Yeah, no, we're excited to start next week. Great timing, of course, with the grand final coming up. But Sport and Entertainment Network, an extension of what the former Croc Media and now SEN have been doing in Melbourne, in Adelaide, in Perth, into Brisbane as well. But now an offering across the AM airwaves in Sydney. So the old 1170 2CH is no more. I'm sorry.
Well,
I see how upset you are.
Well, I'm a huge Bob Rogers fan. And
And it's something we aspire to, Chris, isn't it? We've been on FBI, for example, for 16 years now.
I would love to get Bob Rogers' listenership.
Yes.
And I'd be prepared to play easy listening to do it.
Has he got a database?
Do you think we can just shift them across?
Yes, of course.
And I mean, now what are we going to do for our easy listening, Jimmy? I mean, if I've had a really tough day at the office,
yes.
and I want to sit down with a bit of Pat Boone or
Well,
the Lawrence Welk Orchestra.
I must alert you to the fact that DAB Plus 2CH is now available for all those people. We'd expect the audience to shift across there to find that easy listening.
So you're talking about a demographic in their mid-80s switching across to digital radio.
Mid-90s,
No problem.
Chris. What's the format and who are you working with? Who are your colleagues?
Well, it's a who's who. Andrew Voss is going to do breakfast with Katie Brown from
Yes.
NRL. She's a
NRL.com.
talent. Yeah, she's great. We've got Matty White, who's doing the morning show. We've got a bespoke hour from Gerard Waitley from 12 till 1, just for the Sydney market. I'm going to be in the early stages doing 1 till 3.
Right.
Then we've got, left field, way out left field is Joel Sugarcane and Brian Fletcher doing the drive show, and then I'm going to be hosting the 6 till 7 punchy news and current affairs.
They split you and Joel up. I mean, you were a perfectly functioning team in recent times, weren't you?
Yeah, and we had a great run too. You know,
Is there some dirt? Is there a fallout?
No,
Ugliness?
not yet. But when I say we had a great run, we thought we had a great run.
Yeah.
I'm not sure anyone else did, but. We had a great time, and it was just one of those things where they said, okay, this fits here and this fits here, and we didn't fit together. But yeah,
There's some bad news, Stephen. Friday,
Yes.
we're up against Matty Johns. He's coming in and doing Friday mornings, correct?
should have mentioned
Well,
that.
every week.
Yeah, Matty Johns is doing 9 till 12.
How dare
called Morning Glory.
Is that right?
Morning Glory. I don't want to think about that.
It's a pincer moon. We've got Hadley on one side, Johns on the other, and there we are on FBI 94.5
Chris.
FM. Fire up, trying to.
Different demographic.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
And Greg Alexander's there. Stephanie Brantz is going to do a program as well. So, yeah, it's something
Right.
we're all looking forward to.
We're casual here. Should we just open the door so Dennis?
take-
can
Oh, there
come in?
he is. There he is. Hello, Dennis. How are you, mate?
I'm not going to shake hands on camera.
No, fair enough. I'll tell you what. You know what you are. You're up and about as a Canberra Raiders fan, aren't you?
Oh, isn't he what?
Oh, wow.
And
about to get the gear on.
Redfern Pat over here, our producer.
Yes.
Hello.
Pat.
The two losers on microphone.
And Nick, our film guy, also Penrith fan.
Oh, wow.
Which brings me back to Jimmy. Look, I've got my long-suffering partner and her partners have said, why don't you just change teams? Now, Jimmy, your teams
Yes.
that you played for.
Yes.
We're talking Roosters. We're talking South. We're talking Western Suburbs Magpies.
Correct.
And Salford. What's their mascot?
Salford City Reds, the pride of the
City
city.
Reds.
The Devils
Stephen.
or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, they are. Yeah.
Right.
But you notice there's some part of the compass missing. Why didn't you play for the North Sydney Bears?
It's funny you mentioned. A lot of people used to have a go at me about that. The Bears not interested. They had
Is that right?
Oh, well, they had a great back row back in those days, didn't they? But even the Northern
What
Eagles.
were we talking, Mark Graham? Was that sort of situation, was it?
How old do you think I am? Billy Moore, David Fairley, and Gary Larson.
Did you ring them?
No.
Just a question with your multimedia. Have you worked for more rugby league clubs or more media organisations? Which one's ahead?
Far more media organisations, and I'm not done yet either,
More of
Dennis.
a journey, even more of a journey. Oh, you're leaving Sen already? You haven't even started.
You're coming out.
I'm being replaced on Fire Up.
You're coming out swinging, aren't you, Dennis? By the way, it's good that you're Sports and Entertainment Network, because if you were Sports Entertainment Network, Vince McMahon from the WWA would be suing you right now, because and I'm assuming you're just not covering wrestling, right?
I think we're open to wrestling. Absolutely.
Well, I should talk to you later about my involvement.
You're always looking for the opening.
Here we go.
I don't need to talk to you.
We tried to find a topic that you weren't an expert on, right? And I brought up the life cycle of the blowfly as on the thesis of Steve Cutler for the 1984 Touring Wallabies.
Yep.
And Chris said, Steve grew up on my street. I'm like, wow, okay.
Well, I'm just scratching my head trying to think of a topic and I can't come up with one, Chris. I will work on this.
I think you're talking about why you follow the team that you follow, aren't you, Stephen?
Yes, so you've had a number of teams.
Yes.
The heart used to lie, you're originally from Young.
Well, just outside of Young, outside of Wombat at a place called Wallenbean. That's a true story.
A farm?
Yeah, grew up on a farm. Yeah.
Okay.
Was the farm called Wallenby, or was it the
the
settlement
village.
nearby?
So there's a village of 170 people where I went to primary school. So in my primary school, there was 42 students in total.
And they're all across all grades.
Yeah.
One teacher?
Two teachers. The big room and the little room.
Nice.
The farm was called Skyfall, by the way.
The farm was called Glenroy, and my business is Glenroy Media, named after the farm.
There you go.
Wow, there you go.
Yeah,
That makes
yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Do you still have interest in the farm?
No, unfortunately.
Okay.
This is like
Yeah.
Rosebud.
By the way, we're on a WhatsApp group with all the guys I went to high school with, St Gregory's College, Campbelltown, and there's about nearly 30 of us on this WhatsApp group. It's great. Anyway, one of the guys works as a stock and station agent out at Dubbo, and a bull had just sold for $100,000. A Pole Hereford bull had sold
Jimmy,
for $100,000.
can I just ask Chris a question? Is that more or less than the average bull price?
I'd say that's a very bullish price.
Very good. Very good. And I sent back, looks like I picked the wrong generation to get out of farming.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. St
What's the
Gregory's a great
distinguishing
nursery,
features
right?
of the Hereford?
Sorry?
What's the genetic distinguishing feature of the Hereford?
Is
the
it
one
that sort of
dominant
that
feature?
white oval?
It's just the white head.
Okay.
Oh,
Near
dear,
enough.
dear,
We
dear.
had Pole Herefords, which are no horns.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy, a great nursery, St Gregory's.
Awesome.
Awesome.
So my dad went to school there. So I didn't go there to be a rugby league player or anything. I was always going there. It was an agricultural school. So I grew up on the farm. I was going to go back to the farm.
Yep.
30 years later, I'm still not back to the farm. But I loved it. I had 3 sisters growing up. I was sport obsessed, and there's not too many other people to play sport with you out at Wallenbean. So when I got to that boarding school, it was awesome.
It's a boarding school, about to say.
Yeah. So I think of a class of 150, about 50 of them were boarders.
Gotcha.
And the rest from day student, or day scum, as we used to call them.
Would you describe it as a nursery?
Why wouldn't you?
Agricultural.
The playing group's strong.
Yeah.
The former people who went to school there, former students who went on to play, but the coaching group. So at one point, there was the coach of the West Tigers was Jason Taylor, a former St Gregory's student, was replacing Mick Potter, a former St Gregory's student, who was also replacing Tim Sheens, former St Gregory's student. And Trent Robinson is a former St
that
Gregory's
right?
student. And
I thought he was
Trent,
in Paris.
Trent the baccalaureate or something?
Trent Barrett is, and of course, the coach of the century is a guy by the name of Jack Gibson, who's a former student of St Gregory's.
And is St Greg's on its way back or something in the schoolboy competition? I was hearing that there'd been some fallow times, but they're back in prominence, or
a little bit.
Yeah.
It's very hard to beat the dedicated sports high schools.
Keebra Park.
Yeah, well, your Keebra Park, your Westfield Sports, and Endeavour Sports, they're very hard to beat.
Tell me, is it the changing ethnic demographics? You know, you look back and some schools were primarily, Irish Catholic, and then they may have been Greek and Italian schools. Well, then, obviously there's a lot of Asian sort of participating schools where sport is not their highest priority. Is that changed in that school, St Gregory's?
I don't know exactly about the demographic, but we had a really multicultural year
Did you?
because of, the farming areas that are around there. So we had a lot of Italian backgrounds, a lot of Greek background. What we did have is when I was there in year 11, and the first 11 soccer side used to always get beaten. They were hopeless, right? And we'd all they'd announce the results at the assembly.
Oh, no.
And then we had 4 guys turn up from Griffith as boarders.
The Italians.
Michael Silvestro, David Cadimo, Pat Sergi, and Jamal Pazin. They became a powerhouse, the first 11.
Wow.
All 4 of them were in the first grade side.
Who are your contemporaries in your team?
Jason Taylor.
Yeah.
So we had 6 guys who went on to play in the NRL from our team. And 12 guys played grade, and the one guy who didn't play grade didn't want to. Like, just didn't want to play. Jason Taylor, Russell Wire, John Minto, Paul Quinn, myself, and there's one other.
Is John Minto in relation to Scott Minto?
No relation, but Johnny Minto was one of the... I only learnt this the other day. Johnny Minto came to our school and immediately was put on the wing in first grade. It was his first year of rugby league. But when he played in the NRL, he's one of the fastest players.
Because Scott Minto is the person who's most animated Wayne Bennett in his entire life. Does he remember that extra time try down at
That's what we
Olympic
have on
Park?
film. We don't know if there's anyone else who's animated Wayne more than that.
Well, I suppose Nathan Brown had something to say about that.
Yeah.
That's right.
Was that little Wayne or big Wayne?
No, that one was
Stop.
big.
Okay, let's talk about last week. I was at one game. You were at 2 games?
I was at both games.
Both games, yeah.
I was at 3 games.
3?
I was at the Seagull, the casino. The casino. What were they called? There was the Ballina Seagulls and the casino Cougars.
Cougars, yeah, the Cougars.
Now, it's disappointing that it's not
Cougars.
the casino beef or the casino cattle, given that
Or the Royales.
casino Casino Royale casino still has beef week, and there's still a beef week queen announced.
Is it?
And
Isn't
wouldn't that be an honour?
Is it Rockhampton in Queensland that they claim they're the beef capital of Australia?
Oh,
but
and
Casino says no.
Yeah,
we are
we're the beef capital. We
yeah.
have beef week. Well,
Massive
Rockhampton has
standoff.
beef week as well. And as you come into town, as you'd know, you've got the Santa Gertrudis at one end and the Brahman at the other. In the middle, you've got the Paul Hereford.
Surely Lord Vestey would lay claim to his property being the cattle home of the country. He owns about half of Australia, doesn't he?
I'm just thinking, do they have to build a town halfway between Rockhampton and Casino like Canberra, and that becomes...
Yeah. So there's end disputes.
Well, I think you'd find Toowoomba has a little bit of cattle. There's a lot of coal, bit of cattle around there as well.
And Cody Walker's
the
from
whole-
Casino, right?
Yes.
Was that where
Yes,
Wayne
Casino.
protected Cody?
Yes, the kickboxing
early in
incident.
the year, and yet again
Didn't
stood
Jason
against.
Taylor have a kickboxing incident too?
There was an end of season
fu.
party.
Yeah,
What
that's
about that, Jimmy? I mean, there's no end of season. I mean, to their credit, the Bulldogs were working charitable functions, and there's all sorts of stuff. I mean, how do you feel about that part of the fabric of rugby league? As many other things have been trampled on by
We
Lord
see our job
Volandis.
disappearing, don't we, Chris?
Yeah, we do.
Shrinking rapidly.
The atrocity
I know,
meter.
the atrocity meter's like, whoa.
It's just sitting on,
the dial's not
it's
moving.
running on empty.
Wait till we come to the latest development in this area.
What about where does it go? Feeding the hungry. Where does that come on?
Oh,
there?
no,
that's-
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's broken.
Yeah.
Broken.
Yeah.
Is this inevitable? Is this a positive?
It's an inevitable. Is it a positive? Yes, of course it is. Of course it is. But then there's, I'm really divided on this because they're young guys. They're young guys who are naturally risk takers anyway.
Yep.
Like, they are an outlier of
Yeah.
the population because they actually say, you know what, I think I can do that and I will do it, and I'm going to get myself bashed up doing
I
it.
was thrilled to see the Ballina Seagulls defeated the Casino Cougars. They're going into the grand final, I think, against I'm not sure who they're going against next week. But after the game at Seagulls Leagues Club in Ballina, there was genuine boat race. I haven't seen a genuine boat race. I don't know how long it's been.
For the younger listeners, Dennis, do you want to describe what a boat race is?
Well, you line up on either side of the boat, and there was a mixture. There was a schooner.
First of all, it's not a boat there, right? I think we should make that clear. It's a table.
It's a table. There was a schooner. There was a bottle. There was a can. Then a schooner and another can. That was the 5. So there's 5 in each team. You scull it. You put it on your head. As soon as it's put in your head, the next guy goes, and whoever wins. It was forwards against backs.
I haven't seen a boat race since my wedding. I'm serious because I married an American and we got married in Hawaii, much like Canberra, sort of halfway
Yes.
sort of thing.
No
yeah,
tradition
right?
there.
No tradition.
You started a tradition.
No. But we're having this Wahoo's on the Thursday before the wedding and we said, well, let's just get a boat race going between the Seppos and us. And it was like,
We killed them, right? I think we even done.
Yeah. No,
But
very disappointing.
I went to a wedding of two work colleagues that were America and Australia coming together. It was in Hawaii. And you go there and it reeks, well, it doesn't really reek rugby league. You go Paul Cerin and Colin Scotts and it kind of stops after that, doesn't it? That's Hawaii and rugby league. It's an untapped market.
Talking about the trouble like rugby league players, I think there's two breeds. There's those that genuinely come from rough backgrounds, and rugby league is like a comfort zone for them, so to speak. And of course, their potential to go off the rails is high. Or the entitled ones that are living the high life and they're on half a mil or a mil a year, and they're playing up. No names.
No, absolutely. And you talk about it, and we'll probably unfairly single him out, but someone like Blake Ferguson, I remember speaking to Brian Canavan, who's a great man of rugby league.
Terrific guy.
Yeah, really. And he said when he was at the Roosters and Blake was there, he said he's never heard a backstory as difficult as Blake Ferguson's. And so, to see what he's doing now, he's tripped up a couple of times, like we all have.
Yes.
But to see him do what he's doing now, to have dedicated himself for over a decade, and I was like, wow.
Well, there was a story in the Herald this morning about Tyrone May. Yeah. And obviously Tyrone May had those issues with the illegal videos last year. And, of course, it's in the context he's turned it around, the Penrith going to win the comp or whatever. But it was interesting to see him describe how he felt he'd betrayed Gus. And that his backstory was he kind of hung around the academy, A, because it's a beautiful facility.
Yes.
Air conditioned.
And secondly, the buffet is to die for.
Ever been to Darwin?
Well,
everyone's in the mall.
We all went to the West Tigers training facility under Concord Stadium. Not quite as salubrious.
Which they've levelled.
Yes.
And improved it just by doing so.
If I can come back to the atrocity meter, right? When you get closer to the industry of rugby league, you don't want to talk. It's not your thing, right? So when you step back, people love atrocities. They love talking about it. Even if they tut and hate them, it generates press. It generates copy, ink, whatever. And everyone talks about rugby league.
It generates clicks.
Yes, it does. And rugby league gets more attention.
But
and if you watch The Guardian or ABC, they won't mention the good shit. They'll mention the bad shit, right?
Yeah.
But you're conscious of the backstory does inform you a lot of the time. And his was family was not great for him and all that stuff.
And I would say there's a greater percentage of players in National Rugby League that have had more difficult upbringings than the general population.
Sure, absolutely. Let's get on to last week. I didn't see the... Sorry, Chris.
Well, I'm just worried about time, Stephen. I wonder if we shouldn't have our first break and then get into the rugby league.
Okay.
Keep watching closely. The few of these fellas are fired up. I think who wants to take the run?
Yeah.
Okay, we have four quiet Australians here getting together to talk rugby league and assorted other stuff. We've got Jimmy Smith, special guest today, SEN Network, brand new. Opening what day officially, Jimmy?
Sure, actually.
Next week.
Next week.
Okie dokie.
1170 on your AM dial, correct?
That's it. You can get it on the app. You can do all that sort of thing.
Chris Gale, you were at the game on Friday night at the SCG. Jimmy was there. Dennis
At the
was
old
there.
girl.
Yeah,
Were you
Dennis-
there, Stephen?
I was there.
Oh,
Wow.
good. Pat, were you there? What? Have you done your homework? You said that was the I haven't done my homework look.
I can't tell you exactly what the atmosphere was like because we were on level 7 of
And
the
you were
Baronga.
making so much noise with it. The DJ was so loud.
See, I couldn't tell.
So
I was behind
loud.
glass windows, and I
Yep.
said to them, "Is this too loud, too quiet? You just tell me, and I'll, somebody will pull it down." But I don't know.
Oh, I texted you.
You do.
And what, was it too loud? Is that what you're saying?
just for me. Because the
it drives
speaker,
me
there's a
mad.
speaker
Just
right next
for
to
me.
our...
Just
speaker
for
right
me.
next to our effects
Man
mic.
of the people.
Yeah.
You were out climbing up trying to unplug the damn thing.
Well, I have heard people say it's actually getting better. As crowds return, the DJs are getting better. But when there's no crowd there,
Yeah, it's awful,
the
isn't it?
DJs that have been there, their job has been, they've been employed by the coaches. So particularly the Sharks. The Sharks were terrible because, what's his name?
Johnny
Sharks
Morris.
coach?
Johnny Morris.
He wanted it thumping loud. And there's a speaker stack where Fox and the ABC had their microphones for post-match interviews. There's this speaker stack, and it's thumping loud, so you can't hear. With Willie Kiko's going, "Oh yeah, bro, we played a key."
Yeah.
It's not particularly loud.
Cronulla.
It wasn't that. It was just some rubbish that they're playing loud.
yeah.
It ended up I won't name him. Someone went and unplugged the speaker stack, and the Fox Sports and NEP crew just started a huge round of applause.
So unlike you media types who are in air-conditioned comfort, I was actually in the stands
And pizzas delivered too.
In the cheap seats.
with the punters. And I have to say, I've been on a journey this year as far as live rugby league is concerned, and it started with 300 people at Campbelltown Stadium when we went down to the accursed Raiders.
Wasn't that beautiful?
But to be with 18,000 people was terrific. And I was actually next to a clump of Raiders fans, and they were riding the
They
wave.
would have been feral.
Is that the collective noun
It
of
is, clump
Raiders
of
fans?
Raiders
The clump?
fans,
A clump.
Not a longboat?
Yeah. But I have to say, Stephen, there was a lot of compliments about the music.
Are you just buttering
No,
me
no,
up?
no. It's
How
true.
was the level for the crowd?
It was not loud enough in the first half, and it came through much louder
it
in the
did.
second half. So
Okay.
I believe you played yes, and I didn't hear it.
It was for you.
I couldn't hear it.
For you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Did you send a text message at halftime? Say, hey, buddy,
I
turn
did
it up.
get
Can you turn it
yeah.
up a bit?
Get
Oh,
the
so you
volume
heard
going.
that
Yeah,
text
yeah,
message, didn't you?
exactly.
Right.
It was going out to all the Roosters fans.
which song?
Owner of a Lonely Heart.
It's much better than a...
Yeah, but as I opined, that's why Cooper Cronk moved from Melbourne to the Roosters, because he was separated from Tara and was an owner of a lonely heart. And there he was.
Very good.
But
We are empathetic, if nothing, Chris.
and then the following night, you were at the game. Were you at the?
No.
And you weren't either. So,
No.
so I actually was doing wrestling commentary. So I watched the game on replay, and I was getting text messages on the Saturday night going, "Oh, Ferris is off his game."
I got that as well. I got it from one of the NRL stars saying, "Oh yes, Van Halen, that's good." I said, "Not me, but yes, that's good."
and so of course I'm listening to the replay, and in succession we got Horses,
You didn't.
You're the Voice,
You did not.
and then Sweet Caroline.
Oh no! Shoot the guy.
Even I noticed that.
All three songs which I want banned from all Australian sporting facilities in perpetuity.
Surely Horses is going to be at the Everest on the weekend.
yeah,
Surely.
well,
Sure, I reckon Daryl.
Yeah.
They'll roll Daryl out for it.
Yeah, Pete will have it sorted out.
Yeah,
He'll
exactly.
get in there.
Yeah.
On a horse.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Why not?
Absolutely.
The other thing I'll quickly say on the fan perspective is I've mentioned many times on this show I'm on a Roosters WhatsApp because I have to go to Roosters games as part of a community service
Can you send
order.
me the copy?
Lucky
Yeah,
you.
Print it
Lucky
out.
you.
And these boys have sort of atrophied. They felt it coming. You know, one of them stayed up the Central Coast in his holiday home. One was a little bit late getting tickets. So I was only sitting next to one of them, Dan.
So what percentage turned up to show
Three
their
of the
faith?
7.
3 of the 7.
Yeah.
Gee whiz.
And 2 of us were together, and the third was whatever. And you could tell when you're sort of on the app that they were kind of accepting of it and realizing that it's been a great run. And it was actually
That's the 12. How many stages of grief?
yeah. and you thought they'd worked it through, and you thought, well, good on them. Finally, for once, they got some perspective. But right at the end,
When they got some
yeah,
hope.
One of them put on the WhatsApp, can the Michael Lucking ground announcer stop extolling the Raiders? And then just the anger just came bubbling to the surface again.
Yeah, Steve Allen.
Steve
I worked
Allen,
next to
he's
Steve Allen. He's a
great
great
man.
fun to be with. Yeah.
Terrific man.
It was also great fun. I might have watched back the Foxtel coverage on IQ and I've
7
seen-
times.
and the highlights is commentated by Nine, so I've watched that as well. And hearing the commentary and how much, particularly Nine, are so up the Roosters. Oh no,
Yeah.
Whiten scored. Oh no,
no,
Tedesco
Whiten
didn't deserve that. Oh, they were so how good. The Roosters can
Listen
come
to
back.
him go.
They
I
were
know
going
what he
off
feels
it.
like
and
too.
this is the Channel
did
9.
that to the Dragons
You know
too,
why
Dennis.
the Channel 9 do that? Channel 9 hate the Raiders, and it comes back to Super League. They hate the Raiders. So how many games the Channel 9 protesting about? God
Dennis?
damn it! It's Friday night, and we've got the Raiders on Channel 9. This is against rugby league. That's what Channel 9 believe.
It's a flawed argument. If they hate Super League, why are the Broncos on every Thursday or Friday night?
Well, because they pay
good
coin.
point.
It's good. It's about coin.
Coin.
It's about
Right.
coin.
Whereas on the WhatsApp I get, lucky you haven't heard the Fox coverage, Alexander Abominable.
Alexander hates the Raiders, and he openly admits that he hates the
You know
Raiders.
what's really interesting? So when you look at a social media feed and you talk, follow a person that go and they will say about a commentator, there'll be different fans saying this guy hates the Bulldogs, and then another person will say about the same guy, this guy's always praising the Bulldogs.
Alexander was caught out. There was one time he was doing a little a two-hander with Braith, and they were talking to the camera, and there's a certain Raiders fan who's reasonably well known started going out, "Why don't you give the Raiders a go, you flog? You one-eyed flog. You're always dissing the Raiders." And he's trying to talk, and he got a bit distracted by it. Braith and Asta showed some human sign, started sniggering, and actually did the old... I turned away, and Greg's like, I'm getting heckled a bit here. Yeah, you're getting heckled because you're always against the Raiders, you flog. It's one grand final each. You won one, you lost one. Give us a fair break.
That's not Simon Tayoun by any
No, it
chance,
wasn't
is it?
Simon Tayoun.
Because he
No.
can't go to Sunshine
I
Coast Stadium
know.
because
It's the first
any
game
Raiders
he's
fan
missed.
who was at the Old Girl last Friday is banned from going.
Unless they were in the bubble.
to
So it's only
Queensland
Raiders and
Western.
stuff.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, and that would apply to what? One person.
Oh, no, there was thousands there.
They flocked.
There was thousands.
They were going up to the Sunshine Coast Stadium or Suncorp.
They're going up to Lang Park.
Yeah. Oh,
So you
okay.
can't go to the
That's
SCG
right. I
on
keep
Lang
thinking
Park.
they're playing on the Sunshine Coast.
Yeah.
and I'm
Playing
always
Lang
wrong.
Park.
They're playing
Yeah.
at Suncorp.
So anybody assumed that Palaszczuk had it in for the Raiders, but it's just inadvertent, isn't it?
Oh,
That
no, I
those
think
that left to come to Sydney.
Now,
She hates Sydney so
I
much.
listened to the podcast of Fire Up on Friday morning.
Did you? Oh, what
And
did
you
say?
think you sit there and say, "Oh, the things you say about my hometown, about your federal national capital, are an
We
absolute
got more to say,
disgrace."
haven't we, Chris?
Here
Hey,
you
can I-
are, mired
Yeah, yeah.
in 19th
Listen.
century statehood. You've
Enough of the-
ignored the fact that we're a nation and we have a capital.
Enough
You've
of the
ignored, you
Raiders.
diss the capital. And Anastasia, again, it's a state. Of course, they're going to go against the federal capital because they're terrified of the federation.
Right.
They loathe
So
the
how
federation.
many fans do they think they've denied now? Because they travel, don't they?
7.
And they're a weird mob. 7.
There was about 10,000. There was as many. Like, you know that
Well,
the
look at
Roosters
last year's
fans.
grand final.
Roosters. How many Roosters fans turn up? Come on.
Dennis,
tell
Canberra
you-
is a dump as a rich comedy vein, and you're never going to get it right.
I tell you what, we were walking into that game. So that was the first game that we'd gone to NRL Nation for SEN
Right.
since the resumption of the competition. So we're pretty excited about going to a big game and back to the grand old lady, as you say. And so we're walking in there thinking there are so many Raiders fans around. There was just
They do
lime
stand
green
out, don't
everywhere.
they?
Yeah, they stand out. And
high vis.
when we got in there, we was like, oh, okay. By the time the game started, the attributes of the Roosters fans really shone through. They got there late. They'd been in the pubs
Yes.
Correct.
up at Paddington, and they only needed to be there for the 7:50 kickoff. So
Let's go.
Funnily, when you arrived for this broadcast today, Jimmy, you were carrying a coffee, I noticed. So you did play for the Roosters, didn't you?
wasn't a latte. It was a long black though. So
Can I just go? Can we get a report card on the experiment that, from the Kithra connection that was Sonny Bill Williams? I want to get a wrap up right here and now, if we could.
He set up a try.
I thought it was really interesting the timing of Trent Robinson's introduction of Sonny Bill Williams into the game because they weren't playing well. That was obvious. Canberra playing very well, and then they needed something, and the something was Sonny Bill Williams. You know, I thought that was really interesting.
Out of 10?
Out of 10, his performance or his contribution to the
We'll go his
Roosters
values second, but performance first.
on the weekend. Oh, it's a 7.5 out of 10.
Who came off? It wasn't Takiaho. Who was the
Takiaho eventually
Was
came off injured. Yeah.
But isn't that when he came on?
No, I think he came on earlier than that.
He came on for some.
Yeah, he
the other
came on
prop
in
was
the
injured.
first
There was some-
half
there was
at the
there was a prop that was
25
injured and
minute mark.
He came off.
So you're
and
saying
Sonny came on.
Robbo's arc was that he would have got better to the grand final.
Oh, absolutely.
Interrupt us.
And the other thing about it is he brings something different that no one else has, right? And that is, and you saw it for the try to James Tedesco, where he just stood there and went, "Oh, who wants the ball?
Those are large
there, You
hands.
have it.
Holds
yeah,
it easy,
You have
yeah.
it. That, no one else can do that. So when you go, you're playing
Josh
the Panthers,
Papali.
you're playing the Raiders, you're playing. If you'd have said Joe Tarpany, I'd have believed you. But
Josh Papali did it and set up 2 tries.
But you need something different. You need to play. You've got to actually be prepared to make a mistake
Yep.
to be able to threaten the defence.
I thought he was
Classic Shane
excellent.
Warne.
I thought he was really excellent. And because the Roosters, everyone was going, that's not the Roosters, it's passive defence. It's, you know, when Tarpany blazed through 16 block, we're going, we're back
like Jared Hayne in the against the Dragons.
At 209.
209.
and love the Roosters as we all do here.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
you have to
Let's not
You have
ease
to-
off, Chris.
you have to point to the character of that team that was playing that badly to find a way back, and I think he actually sparked them. And he's got a subtlety to his pass
Chris, can I just
that makes
remind
the
you-
offense different.
Canberra, there were at least 3 tries that were just about tries or could have been tries. They were all over the Roosters.
There was
About the Willie Manu disallowed-
they were
the Joey Manu
the
disallowed
Joey
try.
Manu was
Come
that,
on.
that one was pretty close. The double movement, like that was 50-50. And you heard it. The second one where Joey Manu did promote the arm, but his body ended up in the in goal.
Momentum.
Technically, they could have said he's actually moved the arm. If he'd bounced and kept the arm back, it would have still been a try.
What I'm trying to say is this again.
This isn't me being biased. This is me
They
saying
got pretty close. 3 tries.
that
No,
one, you could hear the referees saying, so what do we do? You could actually hear them. They left the mics open, and you could hear the person next to Horse going, well, what do we do? Like, that could be either way. And when you hear-
That was a 50-50, the
Yeah,
Joey
it was.
Manu one. And in commentary, we were saying, I'm accepting of whatever decision comes up here.
Yeah, that's,
right.
Okay,
yeah.
so that's. But the other thing about it is, within that game, there are 10 incidents that are crucial to determining the outcome. Like the Chance Nickel-Clockstad tackle on Brett Morris, the Chance
which could have been,
Nickel-Clockstad tackle
yep.
on Josh Morris, the no try to Whiten because of the obstruction. You know, they're ones you go, oh.
Because, Luke Lewis was saying of that one, that's a defensive read. He has chosen to come up and wrap. He
That's
wasn't
right.
Actually, he didn't stop in the line. Croker stopped before the line, but the young half he wrapped him.
Flanagan.
Flanagan took him out.
What did
Took
Sonny Bill say,
himself out.
Stephen?
Sonny Bill at the end of the game. Can I give his quote?
Please.
In one mouthful?
Is this the nine idioms?
Yeah.
That's the way fairy tales go. That's the way the cookie crumbles. The glass is half full, as it would be if you got a bit of coin. Life's good. No use crying over spilt milk. Could have gone either way.
The milk wasn't spilt, though.
That's footy. Live to see a better day. They could be James Bond film titles, couldn't they? Yeah, so how we go?
The concern I have about that sentence is, can you half spill a glass of milk?
Well,
Because if the glass is still half
spilled,
full, he hasn't.
yeah.
Can you only semi-spill it? And he's
And-
caught it in time.
And do you cry less?
well, I'm saying the milk remains unspilled
It's your milk.
in these finals. The milk is still going. And I did notice that Chance Nickel-Clockstad, you mentioned, did you see the interview with him? Where Sonny Bill's come over and given him a tap, and he's gone full Norman Gunston. Oh, Sonny Bill, eh? Oh, Sonny Bill just tapped me, eh?
I literally was talking to Justin Dooley, who's a former National Rugby League player, and he talked about that. We were talking about it. He said, how good's that? Because everyone's a fan.
Yeah.
Right? You can have a great game, Chance Nickel-Clockstad, but you're still a fan, right? You're still and Josh Papali used to get a photo taken with Sonny Bill Williams when they played it because he's such a fanboy.
Yep.
It's great.
And so, value for money, yay or nay? Sonny Bill.
Absolutely.
It was worth doing.
In that instance, you have to
Oh,
say
overall.
yeah.
What about the 100 million that watched?
The 100 million.
Yeah.
That'll give it.
Yeah,
give it
that's
that,
right.
okay.
200 million eyeballs.
Let's go to the second game, shall we?
Well, should we just hear from the two coaches and maybe then
Okie dokie.
have a break just because of the time and then do the second game as a wrap-up? Right. So, first of all, let's hear from the losing coach, Trent Robinson.
And did you feel this coming in the past few weeks, or did you feel the preparation was good?
You feel, what you're trying to do. You've got lots of different players on at all different levels, right? So they're players that are really in good form. There's players that are trying to come back and trying to find it. What you're trying to do is put them all in a melting pot and get them all to the same level. And you could it's spinning plates. And you feel like, I've got to get that one moving a bit more. I need to do that. And it just couldn't align them well enough.
Hang on, melting pot, spinning plates.
Idioms.
It's
Mixed.
It's the spinning plates that I like that
Yeah,
concept of.
yeah.
Because we know with the pandemic we're getting no international touring artists for some time. And if the Sydney Festival is looking for content,
Yeah.
I mean, the Shaolin Monks
The Roosters.
the Shaolin Monks aren't coming out.
That's right.
So just Robbo
Sticks.
there, spinning plates.
But
Yeah,
is it,
yeah.
Rob, has that come from Politis? Because that's a fairly Greek thing, isn't it? To have
Well,
the spinning
it-
plates?
Throwing them is.
Throwing them
all
is. I
part of
thought
the Kidra
spinning was
connection.
part of
Dropping
it.
them is,
Yeah.
not keeping them on a stick. That's a Chinese thing, I think.
Is it?
Yes, I think it is.
But just on that, don't you think it's a really interesting insight? Like, they talk about the different personalities within the club and everything, and you're managing this personality here, and you're managing that one there, and you're managing that, and you're doing that. It's a great metaphor. You're spinning the plates. Oh, that one needs more spinning.
Yeah.
He is the
I'm gonna
Renaissance
give that a
man, though,
couple.
isn't he? He can reference French literature and war history, and then he can shift straight over to Chinese acrobatics and gymnasts and spinning plates, just like that.
Meanwhile, in terms of diversity, it was very interesting to hear what Ricky Stewart had to say about his team after the game.
Our inner sanctum there at the club or our bubble, how hard it was for us at the start of the season. So where we've got to today, nobody gave us a chance to outside our own. And I remember saying, actually in this room, the last game we beat the Roosters here, nobody has given us an opportunity to show you what's underneath the jumper. They're not just a team of footballers, these guys. They're more than a team.
Jeez, he's hard work, isn't he?
Tell you what, though, his grammar there. Nobody gave us a chance. Nobody has given us a chance. For
Positive.
traditional rugby league would be nobody give us a chance. Nobody's give us a chance. He
Now,
declined that verb properly.
if
It was
you-
past tense. There was aorist tense. It was
Proud
beautiful.
owners
Thank you, Ricky.
of a Monara or a Ford Falcon GTHO will always go, look under the bonnet. Look at the donk under the bonnet. Kick the
Yeah,
tyres
yeah.
over. Look at that. That's what Ricky's doing, right? Look at the engine in this thing.
yeah.
And we're underappreciated, always undervalued. There's more. We're more than just a footy team. Chris,
We're
what could they
the
be?
federal capital.
Well, to be honest, I always sort of have some sort of hybrid. I'd expect to find some sort of electrics, they're not just a
So
petrol
you think
engine.
Ricky can manage the?
have
but
you
because
seen,
we
Are you saying we can rebuild him? It's a $6 million man. Is
Well,
that?
have you seen the shirts off shot of Josh Papali?
Well,
There
yeah.
is nothing electric there. That is all human.
Josh
That's
and
meat
his
and potatoes, isn't it?
Josh
That is-
and his self-described fat ass, which is why the Fogarty's, he's gone the 40, size 40. But when you hear that under the jumper, we never see under the Melbourne jumper because we know we'd see a whole lot of robotics and cybernetics and all that sort of thing.
Spinning.
But I think what he's trying to say, if they're more than a footy team, I think that Ricky believes that he's created a group that, for example...
What could they be that's better than a footy team?
Well, say the Prime Minister's kids, God forbid, got kidnapped.
Yes.
SWAT team.
SWAT
Send
team.
them in. Just ring up the Raiders, in they
The
come.
Green Berets, the SEALs.
That's right.
Yeah.
So,
Johnny Bateman would go in. Johnny Bateman would go in.
What about the Canberra Ballet Company?
Canberra Ballet Company.
Is there such a thing? There could be.
There is a Canberra Ballet, yeah.
Yeah. What about the ACT Symphony Orchestra?
Which is an oxymoron.
Yeah.
What about them?
They exist.
They exist, of course
Well,
they do.
that's what Ricky's talking about. More than a footy team.
Yeah.
Because
we discussed this last year, that the Viking clap is led by the military.
There you
And
go.
they've put the call out to RMC and ADFA and said, any of you cats who can play, because they have military bands. Can any of you guys Raiders fans? So they've gone, oh, yeah. So I'm seeing them with their, before they had their military gear on to do the thing last year at the semi-final. And there's these guys with tats. And I was looking at them going, they're really built. Where do you find 10 drummers who are stacked? Like, these guys are stacked. And this is just random Raiders fans. Then I discovered, no, this is actually the pride of the military because it's a federal thing.
Could Canberra do with a bit of extra PR work, do you think?
Yeah,
I think
they
it'd
had
be
a
great.
fan
Come
or
so
two.
far.
What do you think, Jimmy?
Seems
More than a
just
football team,
yesterday.
where else could the Raiders go beyond
And
the
what's he
premiership?
referring to? What does he mean more than a footy team?
Family.
Canberra always strikes me because we lived only 2 hours from Canberra. We had family there, so spent a lot of time going over there, right? And there's so many things to see in Canberra. So maybe tour guides at the art gallery, at Old Parliament House, War Memorial.
Terrific. What's it, Questacon?
All of
Technology
that.
Exhibition?
Oh,
You forget the National Art Gallery.
Yeah,
Like the
Screen
blue
Australia.
poles. You got the
Blue poles, exactly. Mr. Papali, what is the significance of this painting?
That is brilliant.
I went on a school excursion when I was in primary school. I barely remember it. Had I gone there and was
No,
taken
Mal
around...
Meninga was going to take you around by hand.
Exactly.
You've got Josh Papali showing you Farlap's heart. You got Charles Nickel Clockstadt maybe saying this is Farlap's heart.
Well,
Yeah.
he'd be involved in the Anzac.
But the thing is, Charles
Kiwi,
Nickel Clockstadt
yeah.
would say it's a touch smaller than mine, but it's still
And
big.
what would overawe you more if you're a little kiddie?
What was you what?
Clockstad or Farlap's heart? I'd be knocked out by both of them.
Exactly.
Exactly.
We've taken our legal system essentially from the Westminster system, so all the Johnny Bateman and Elliot Whitehead would be there at the High Court.
High Court?
That'd be terrific.
Perfect.
And not just the High Court, their whole system of Parliament. So they'd be having. Could you imagine that all accent on Ryan Sutton taking it around the halls of Parliament House, the old Parliament House into the new Parliament House, discussing the Westminster system, representative politics.
That reminds me, actually, when I was playing at the Rabbitohs, and I was working at that time 1 day a week in at a regional rural consultancy firm. So I used to put the suit and tie on and all that. And I went back to the Leagues Club. It wasn't a training afternoon, but I saw some guys on the coaching staff, and they looked at me and said, "Oh, have you had court?" No.
And for those that aren't quite as skilled, they can just work in the cafe.
Yeah, make sandwiches. I think there's a Rabbitohs conspiracy because if you go to Parliament House and you look at the House of Reps and the Senate, traditionally one's green and one's red.
Yes.
It's not the what are they green and red here? What are they called?
Cardinal and Myrtle.
Cardinal and Myrtle. They've
yeah.
actually got. I think their ochre is the red and eucalyptus is the green. So it's not quite Cardinal and Myrtle, but there is a red and green thing. And there are random Rabbitohs everywhere.
And at Questacon, Georgie Williams could show you how you put spin on a ball.
Oh, yeah.
To defy. To
What do you think,
Desco.
guys? I think we're about melting here.
What
I
about
think
Brad Arthur?
I think we should come to him after the break.
Okie dokie. Back in a minute.
If Jake Friend's not playing, you don't have Jake Friend on the field.
Sorry, what genius was that? I missed that.
That's Paul Crawley, Stephen. And,
Paul Crawley,
and you know
right.
he's my favourite.
And he says it like it is, doesn't he? Like that. You cannot deny the truth.
Can we hear that again? Is that a possibility from the technician?
If Jake Friend's not playing, you don't have Jake Friend on the field.
True, that's true.
And
Yeah.
I'm going to revolutionise rugby league by suggesting that Paul Crawley is a Wayne Bennett fan. I'm just leaving it out.
Wow.
I'm just leaving it out there.
I've never thought it.
Hey, listen, one of the great things here at Fire Up's Quite Australia, Jimmy, is we actually have sponsors.
Oh,
You're kidding.
Yes, when we're on FBI, well, you're familiar with that. That's your career, right?
Yes, exactly.
But when we're on FBI Radio 94.5 FM, we don't have direct sponsors, but here at Quiet Australia we do. And we are currently being sponsored by Doughboy Pizza.
Okay.
Now, Doughboy's catchment areas, the Bondi region, the Artarmon region, Randwick, are you in any of those catchment areas?
No.
You
How
should-
are they going in the Shire?
Yeah, you should move.
Okay.
Okay.
I better.
Chris, what about, is it possible to get a pizza during our session here?
So what's going to happen, Stephen? It's a very good point.
Want to nibble?
If you are so inclined, you go on doughboy.com.au. You can create your own pizzas. They've got thin and crispy, spelt, gluten-free. You can get their suggestions or customise.
Can you spell that out? Doughboy, not D-O-B-O-Y.
D-O-U-G-H-B-O-Y.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. And you've got all these options. You can order at any time, and they'll say you'll think at 3 o'clock I want it to arrive at 8:30, and you can order for 8:30, which is really, really handy. Right now, if you went on the website and ordered, and you entered the promotion code FIREUP, F-I-R-E-U-P, A, you get 20% off, but B, you go into the draw for 2 weeks' time, our grand final wrap episode, to join us here in the Batuta Advocate Studios. Air conditioned, as you can see, Jimmy. Give us your views on the season, the GF in particular, and you'll be enjoying Doughboy Pizza here with us and the Batuta guys.
Wow.
Simply by going on to doughboy.com.au, enter the promo code FIREUP, 20% off.
Yes.
And the chance to come here and do an episode of Quiet Australia.
And will they deliver to the Shire? No. They're saying no. Got to
So
move.
just pick it up on the way home.
Yeah.
Like go home via Bondi. That's what I do. They don't live in my area, but there's an area between. I can just.
It sounds like it's run by either a Swiss or a German.
It's actually run by a Swiss German.
The punctuality.
Yes. Very Swiss, isn't
Very
it? Very
timepiece
Very
driven.
Swiss.
Wonderful stuff, Chris.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Hey, listen, what about Brett Arthur? Because last week he was saying we just played dumb.
Brave but dumb.
Brave but dumb. Now, they were brave and they bolted out after a couple of bit of a halt, and then they went, phew, and then the dumb kicked in.
Well, I think the dumb kicked in when Gutherson unveiled that dance again. That was a
the
worry.
Not much of a dance, is it?
That was what killed it.
Yeah. But let's hear what Brad said about his team, having called them brave but dumb last week.
Yep.
Oh, look, well, they bounced in. They were ready to go. Obviously, people were concerned about what happened, but they knew that we still had a job to do and come and play footy. And I thought the effort was there, but just getting some dumb moments wrong.
So getting dumb moments wrong. So does that mean they got the smart moments right?
Well, the moment that stands out, of course, is when Mitchell Moses has the opportunity to level it up at 20 all.
And if I could add, just before that, I thought Damien Cook should have been sent off the field. I thought that looked deliberate with intent, that tackle.
Yeah, I don't know about that, because it looked like...
Pushed by the other guy accidentally?
No, but it looked like the tackle player was actually getting up, that was going again. He didn't look like he's playing the ball. So Cook, from behind, has seen he's been released by the tackler. He's actually going again. And I'm going to cover him.
If that was a rooster, you wouldn't say that.
No, I would. It's.
Really?
I'm unbiased with the Eels and the Rabbitohs. I actually thought there was a case for him to stay on the field and not even be penalised. As much as there was a
I
case,
beg to differ.
you need
Jimmy,
you need
can you arbitrate here?
You need Wayne.
Yeah, no, he should have gone.
There you
Should have
go.
gone.
Ah!
Yeah.
There should have been an intentionometer. They need that in the back. They need a little
So Moses
plug
goes to
where the
kick.
intention.
So, can I say the scoreline has been, in the Peter Volanti style, been going in clumps, and then it's 20 points to 18, and Mitchell has the penalty to level it up at 20 all.
And what are the Parramatta players doing, Chris?
They're all looking.
Expecting.
Yeah.
They are all back.
It's already done.
In their half,
Done.
ready
Yeah.
for the kickoff. They've actually gone back to
What
their
would
half.
Ray
ready
Price
to-
have done?
Ray Price would have assumed the praying mantis position. He'd be intently looking at the uprights on the generally minuscule chance that it will hit the upright, rebound,
And
and
he'll
there'll
be
be
there.
opportunity to regather
Yeah.
and continue the play.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, people used to deride that man, and he's a visionary, Stephen.
That's smart, Chris.
Smart.
The problem
What
was
Parramatta
he
doing?
was outside the stadium in bronze
That's
instead
right.
of being on the field.
Yeah, so he actually used to bend too, right?
Yes, that's right.
As a parallax error for the goal kicker.
That's
so
right.
Go, hang on, the uprights are going like that. Why is Ray like that?
I think he was trying to lean out of the vision of the kicker. Because this often happens in obstructions. What can the player do? They can't disappear.
They can't disappear.
Unless they're David Copperfield or someone
That's
like
right.
that,
Yes,
Chris
yes,
Angel.
yes.
How
Houdini.
good would that be?
Yeah, well, that's what...
Imagine if Ray, if one of the backs. Imagine if Fergo, he wasn't there. Imagine if Jenko was just standing there, invisible. The
Well-
ball bounces off. He's there, picks it up and scores.
Well, in fairness,
Parramatta win.
Jenko was invisible, and one would describe that was pretty dumb. But so that's what he's trying to do. So these are the errors.
Well, I'm just thinking about what you guys might think about a pre-season for the Parramatta Eels.
Yeah.
Must include some calculus,
Yes.
a bit of written history,
Yes.
etc.,
Yes.
to be
Yes.
smarter in
Yes.
the dumb moments.
Video history.
We've actually wondered about this. Should part of the recruitment strategy, if you're a Peter Mulholland or whatever,
Yes.
is IQ testing?
Well, the personality testing works so well for the Broncos with Anthony Seibold, so maybe
Yeah,
they can
look,
get that company to come and look at the players.
Mensa? No, that way. Mensa.
By the way, if you've got an issue, is going on 60 Minutes to ventilate it brave and dumb?
Now, Chris, sorry. Harry Dunn, Lloyd Christmas, Dumb and Dumber.
Right.
Is who's Harry and who's Lloyd? Is it the team or is it Brad Arthur? Which one's which? Who's got their tongue on the goalpost?
On the goal.
So who had their? That was Jeff Daniels, right?
Is that right?
And that is who? That's Lloyd. Is that right?
That is Harry Dunn.
That's Harry Dunn.
Yeah.
Harry Dunn. One of the
Yeah, so
greats.
that's
Tongue on the
That's-
goalpost has to be Moses. That has to be Mitchell Moses.
Right. So that's the team.
Yeah.
So it's Brad Arthur
So
trying
Brad's-
to rip him
Lloyd
off.
Christmas.
Yeah, he's got with the boiling water to freeze, so it unfreezes the tongue on the. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
And Jimmy, there's a lot of talk about Brad Arthur as he's got Parramatta over a few humps, but can they go to the next level? You probably drove a lot of coaches mad, but as a player, how did you respond when your coaches say, well, they're a good group, but they're dumb? Did it work?
No, never. No, never. I can't remember being called dumb. We should have been called dumb on many occasions, but no, it certainly wasn't. Yeah, they're an interesting one, aren't they, Parramatta? You just get the sense that it's never going to happen for them there unless they make some personnel changes.
And I really thought it was completely fueled by Bank West. A brand new stadium. They had energy. They had crowd power. Everything going for them. 2 years in a row.
Yeah, I know it's a little thing, but literally we're talking about it again. Like the Clint Gutherson dance. Like if in the off season, if I'm Brad Arthur, I address that.
Yeah.
So mate, dance when we've won the grand final.
Yeah.
Like not when we're just going ahead.
Premature celebration.
Premature.
It's Mitchell Pearce going to chat with Cody Walker when you're up 14-0. Bad idea.
Who was the Canterbury Bankstown forward who was the Michael Jackson fan that did the moonwalk? Scored a try, one of his only tries. He did the moonwalk.
Bobcat Ryan, was it?
No.
Eastwood?
No,
was it Greg Eastwood?
You're thinking of Max.
Eastwood, yes.
Greg Eastwood.
You're thinking of Max Mannix, who ran all that way in the 1980s and then went, the premature celebration.
Yeah.
And then
I'm
dropped
thinking
it.
Gutho's game's there just to take it to the next level. He needs some training, right? He needs
Absolutely.
to, dance school.
Greg Eastwood, come on down.
When they're legal or one-on-one somewhere, Claudia Cavan could step in.
I reckon just drop it.
Just drop it.
Just drop it.
Next week, should we talk about that?
Well, what about quickly Wayne? Which does
Wayne.
take us into next week.
Wayne, who again was smiling.
Where the Rabbits,
what the hell?
Where the Rabbits are taking on Penrith.
Yeah.
But Wayne had a bit of hubris, I thought, as usual for Wayne, where he said, "Well, this is the way we planned it." The other
All very
teams
well looking back in time, isn't it?
came out of the blocks early. We did that last year. It turned out to be a mistake. He's more than 70 years old. Surely he realised last year it was a mistake to come out of the blocks early. But he's kind of rewriting history for mine. And
he's good, isn't he?
He is good, but he also has a little bit of stand-up in him, as we hear from this exchange in the press conference.
What's impression most about Jackson Paulo in his debut year?
Oh, he hasn't impressed me too much until tonight.
Because he knows when to leave a gap, doesn't he?
It certainly does.
Nothing he said in a Wayne Bennett press conference is not very, very orchestrated, right? It's magnificent. I remember I was working at the South Sydney Rabbitohs in a media capacity in about 2002 or 3 or very early on when they returned to the competition. And they'd played the Broncos on a Friday night. The Broncos had won. Wayne Bennett and Darren Lockyer walked into the press conference. So I happened to be there. It was literally the first time I've sort of been able to see the great Wayne Bennett in action. The two chairs were there, and they stood away from the two chairs and just up in front of the sponsor signs. And it was a room full of 15, 20 journalists, and no one said a word. Wayne stood there like this. Darren Lockyer stood there like this.
Yep.
And not one journo was prepared to ask a question. And this goes on for 40 seconds. I'm thinking, this is amazing. And then Darren eventually turns to Wayne and says, "Should I ask a question?" And Wayne said, "That's their job, son."
And this comes to the actual serious note. It makes a case for an independent media operator to be allowed in the press conference that is not beholden to rugby league community in any which way possible to ask direct questions.
Are you putting yourself up for this?
Yes, I think he is.
Who's not afraid of the abuse and the but gets permission from the NRL.
Oh, that'd be perfect.
Would that be great?
Wouldn't that be asking the question that everyone's saying?
I was thinking that.
I'm
Yeah,
not
But the
gonna
thing
ask
is,
that.
to get permission from the NRL
Yeah.
means that you can't
You're
be
going to cop a
independent.
hot lot of heat, right?
Yeah, just don't get that guy who moderated the first presidential presidential debate. He didn't do a good job at all, I didn't think. But I think if we are jumping to the two upcoming fixtures, which, let's face it, I got no idea who's going to win either of them, the battle of the coaches is relevant. So Wayne and Nathan, and this is... Sorry, Ivan, this hasn't been too much promoted. I get them interchangeable. But the understanding was that Gus had a handshake with Wayne. You are the new Penrith Panthers coach. And then the Panthers board overruled and went back to the well with Ivan. So there's a bit of an agenda there that maybe isn't so visible. The other thing that stands out is the battle of the halves. And Adam Reynolds has conceded that Nathan Cleary and Jerome Luai are better looking than him and Cody Walker.
Is he really?
And I can see that with Luai, but Nathan Cleary not to my taste.
And a lot less neck tattoos
That's
than the South City halves as well.
Did you see the inventory of body art that Adam Reynolds said, here's everything I've got, and I regret it all?
The thing
He
is,
regrets it now?
if those same tattoos were on Sonny Bill, they'd just cover a forearm. That'd
That's
be
right,
it.
true.
You can take the boy out of Waterloo. He doesn't suffer from hubris, does he?
I'm going to disagree with him over Cody. I think Cody Walker's actually a very attractive man. And if you hear him speak, I actually love hearing him speak.
Cadence?
He should, his cadence, but also the content and the way he's got the beautiful country accent. He's fantastic.
It's a tip for SEN.
He's got an anger in him, Cody Walker.
But when
Hasn't
he's
he got
laughing-
an anger in
but
him?
when he talks with so much passion about Nosy Nichols, saying how good is Mark Nichols, like he's 2 try assists, and sniggering and loving it.
Can I say that I think Jerome Luai is fast becoming the least popular player in the competition with other players. He's taken over from Michael Lennis. There was a lull. There was a lull. There was a vacancy.
There was a hole.
Yeah.
Black hole, yeah.
During play or more his post-try celebrations?
Pre-game. Have you seen him in the dressing room pre-game where he starts? I'm thinking, look, he sings beautifully. We know that, Jerome Luai,
He can dance.
and he's a very talented player, and from all reports, a great fella. But I can see him becoming public enemy number one very.
Well, within the
loving
team,
it or not?
Probably wouldn't worry him.
I think he'd love it.
Nah.
But within the team, there's always a nuisance in the team.
Yes.
And if you ask Jerome Luai who it is, he'll say it's Naden. If you ask Naden, it's Jerome Luai.
Yeah.
And they're put on that side to keep them away from the rest of the team.
Get them
They
both.
are absolute nuisances, people and they are chirpy. They are both chirpy.
Get them both on Mount Grubmore soon.
They'll be there. They belong there.
In the other battle, you've got the...
Sorry. Who's on Mount Grubmore?
Well, Ennis, of course.
I
Wolford,
reckon Justin
the Germ.
Hodges is there.
Justin Hodges.
Simon Wolford.
Wolford.
Oh,
yeah.
the grub. Of course he's on there.
Ricky Stewart, like he was.
Yeah, put him up there.
He used to love a
He
chat
was a
when
little
he
bit
was
chirpy.
playing.
He
Well,
didn't
a
mind
little
a
bit chirpy.
crow peck and a pinch.
But that's a good segue into the other game where the Canberra Raiders take on the Melbourne Storms at Suncorp Stadium. That, Paul Kent, who's always looking for an angle, suggests that one of the great friendships in rugby league of all time, i.e. Lucifer, a.k.a. Cameron Smith, and Bellyache, a.k.a. Craig Bellamy, was almost rent asunder last year because the suggestion in Cameron Smith's mind was that Ricky Stewart had leaked the Barb's ring story.
Yeah, where is the ring now, Chris?
It's a great question.
It's cursed, right? It's wherever it goes, it's causing trouble, right?
It's nowhere near Mount Doom. I believe Gollum currently has it in the bottom of a
Does
river
Barb go
somewhere.
up to a volcano and try to throw it away and it just comes back again and some dog brings it back,
Well, didn't it go in the books as a $5,000 ring when really it was a $15,000 ring?
Yeah.
I'd be there going, don't throw it!
Don't throw it, yeah.
$15,000 ring.
Unfortunately, the ring was on a world tour before the pandemic hit the Smithsonian, the Victoria and Albert Museum.
It's gone to the Hall of Shame.
But
when that gets built.
We've opted. We're building a Hall of Shame at the end of the Tibby Cotter Bridge.
Yeah.
It's going to be a monument for future generations, be they terrestrial or
Mal
alien.
Meninga will be in state.
Mal Meninga, there'll be an Egyptian-style sarcophagus, and people go, that's what people were
when that
like
happens.
back then. And there'll be all sorts of paraphernalia. There'll be a cardboard goalpost.
Replication of the bubbler.
The bubbler, of course, will
a
be...
statue with press button, flashing lights, water.
Sponsored by Gatorade.
Yeah.
You can alter the colour.
Surely Gaz and Minion.
Well...
Could you?
There'll be
Recreations.
there'll be the fire up experience where you put on the virtual goggles
And you're in the taxi.
You're in the taxi.
As the phone call is
You're down
made.
in Coogee.
So if I'm here like this, I look, there's Gaz.
Who's got my phone?
So that's where the ring's going to be.
Right.
Who do
But
we
surely,
like?
Surely PVL's taking the ring back to fund the Everest. Surely.
It's part of the trophy.
If Tom can give it,
It's been melted down.
PVL can pull it back. I mean, he's
I have this horrible thing about Friday night where I look at the teams and I look at the Raiders and the way they're playing and I go, the Raiders can win this. And that gives me this horrible thing called hope. and rugby league exists almost solely to extinguish hope in the most painful and brutal way possible.
Dark corner of yours, isn't it?
Oh, it's terrifying. So I have a hope that the Raiders can actually win this game.
Jeez, I hope so
I
too.
am vulnerable.
It's funny because when you said, the games are in dispute, I don't see them in dispute at all.
Right. Your favourites, both one?
Yeah.
Favourites going so Melbourne.
Yeah, sorry.
Those breaks. Oh, the breaks are huge.
A Melbourne Penrith grand final.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Because both teams were brutalised last week. The Raiders and Souths had brutal games, which the other, Penrith and Storm was sitting back going, give it to them.
I was going to say, are you suggesting the other two teams were sitting back?
Oh, yeah.
Because Josh Mansour said there was very little activity on the WhatsApp in the playing group while the South Parramatta game was on.
Ooh.
So maybe they were a little bit more tense than that.
What I do know is that up there in the Sunshine Coast, where the Melbourne Storm are staying,
There's been a little bit of drama there, hasn't
there
there?
has
complained?
Working on their
the
tans.
noise.
No, there's been a massive drama around and a massive upset about who won the ping pong tournament.
Yes, I saw that.
Did you see that?
Yes.
We had word coming through to us via Shandarul that Darren Shonik, the hedgehog, was the number one seed, but I think he put that out there himself. In the end, it was Nico Hines up against Cam Munster. Cam Munster, heavy favourite, and rolled in the grand final.
Yeah, and he had a flamboyant entrance, didn't he?
Oh, I didn't. All I saw the trophy,
and I think it was all showed. They're foxing about the MCL. But the hedgehog, I hadn't heard that nickname because he just looks like something
a throwback
out of an 80s horror movie.
Dolph
or something.
Lundgren.
Yeah,
very Dolph.
Shonik Hedgehog is where
I
get it from.
Got it.
Yeah,
because he's in the the Storm is an 80s hair metal band. You've got Nico Hines is the singer, and who's the one that looked like Nuno Betancourt is the guitar. Shonik's the bass player.
Right.
He's playing bass.
Well, he's a little bit like Brandon Smith in one of those guys. It's easier to jump over him than run around. So Darren Shonik. So that's the block of
Isn't
cheese.
there another famous hedgehog?
Sonic and
No, wasn't he a porn star?
Ron Jeremy. Yes.
Oh,
Ron Jeremy was the porn star. Yeah.
I wonder you're winking at me, Stephen.
He
I'm
probably
thinking.
had
Are we catching up later?
The rum that has his face on it.
I believe he had a slightly
got a
different
bottle.
physique.
I've got a
It's
bottle.
beautiful rum.
A mate gave me the Ron Jeremy. I'm like, what am I going to? It's still a name. I've got it.
It's great rum.
Is it Ron de Jeremy?
Yeah, Ron de Jeremy. Yeah. They like that from saying it.
Can I just say very quickly, with 80s hair metal and the sad passing of Eddie Van Halen, I mean, the family spokesperson was Wolfgang Van Halen.
Yes.
And you just kind of go, look, Dad, I mean, Van Halen, I've got a lot to live up with. Why have you called me Wolfgang?
Okay, so Peter V'landys, he's got the richest horse race in the world on Saturday.
Yes.
Is he allowed to fly? Has he got his own bubble plane to fly up to the game, or will he just dismiss it?
No, he won't go.
He won't go.
Won't go. No.
So
He'll
racing
brush
number one, enter on number two.
No. I would say he would send his CEO Andrew Abdo up there.
Yes.
Was Andrew Abdo at the SCG on Friday?
There you go.
So,
maybe
you
there were
can't.
eight. Maybe there were 8 people who were wanting to go.
I don't know if they can. I don't know if anyone from New South
Are they
Wales
not
can
exempt?
go to Queensland. No, they're not.
Then I asked the question, the AFL, whatever that is, has a grand final with some Sydney-siders, DMAs, Andrew Stockdale. How do they get up to the grand final?
With some what?
New South Welshmen.
Is it a New South Wales team in the AFL Grand Final?
No.
They've got some entertainment.
Performers, Dennis.
Performers. How do they get exempt?
The McLaughlin rule.
Probably bubble up there.
It's Palaszczuk has the McLaughlin rule. If you can bring 400 AFL people up to promote the grand final, you can get
whatever you want.
You can get 3 inner city musicians plus a Led Zeppelin imitator. I shouldn't say that.
Yeah, without the rest of
No
fair
problem.
enough. Okay, all right.
They're
Done.
probably bubbled.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
And they're playing for nothing as well because the AFL has put this great call out for any entertainers who'll play for nothing.
You are mean, aren't you?
Yeah.
No, they are. They're not paying dancers. Seriously, it's the AFL, and they're saying, "Oh, we can't pay dancers." But what a great experience it is to dance with 10,000 other dancers. The exposure you get. No, you don't, Gil. You get nothing.
No,
you guys are leeches.
They've been burnt previously. They paid Meatloaf, so
that's
there's the learnings.
Yeah,
I wish
learnings.
Billy Idol would come back.
It's not beyond the realms of possibility. So
I thought there was Billy Idol doing the show.
because he was playing in Sydney, but pandemic got it, I think.
Thank you very much, Jimmy, for coming.
Thank you, Stephen.
And
Thanks,
good luck
Dennis.
with
Thanks,
your
Kris.
ever-expanding media empire career.
We're excited about it.
We'll
So
be
thank
listening
you
with
for
great
plugging.
enthusiasm.
Of course you
SEN.
won't. Yeah, of course
What's it
you
called?
won't.
Kingaroy. Is that the...
Glenroy.
Glenroy.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, Dennis. Good luck, Dennis.
Thank
I'm
you,
on
Kris.
your side this week.
Yay! Finally!
The Green Machine.
Pump that up.
Done. See you later.
Cause I'm all fired up, I'm all fired up and lonesome. I got a chip on my shoulder, I'm acting just a little too tough.